Hey everyone, welcome to this week's recap podcast for SNXweave. If you're a new listener, we'll be giving quick weekly recaps of news and important updates from the previous week from the Spartan Council and core contributors, as well as discussing what the Grants DAO and Ambassador DAO are up to. We've got a lot of interesting content for you today, so let's get started. The much anticipated Wrapper Factory is here. In case you missed it, AVR was released on L2 late last week, and for those wondering, it will go up on L1 eventually, but having it on L2 is the priority for now. Which assets to wrap is still being decided, but for now, the WETH wrapper has been created with a capacity of 72 WETH, with a 5% mint fee and a 0.05% burn fee. However, SCCP 143, to raise the L2 ETH wrapper cap to 1500 ETH, and lower minting fees, just passed with 6 votes in favor so far. SCCP 142, to increase L2 inflationary rewards to 75,000 SNX, is going to be voted on soon. The council was just waiting for the completion and implementation of the Wrapper Factory before initiating this SCCP. This is due to the risk of not having enough SNX collateral on L1 to support everything that the wrappers have internally. SNXweave explained it saying that there's a lot of minted supply from the wrappers on L1, and if a lot of SNX were to be unstaked and moved to L2, then there would be more wrappers on L1 than supported by SNX stakers. He also said we probably wouldn't want to have too much SNX moving over until we have a unified debt pool, because we would over-leverage the L1 debt pool. So the wrappers will now be able to help a lot with liquidity. The atomic exchange function should also be finishing up soon, and will go out on the next release, Alcade. Caleb and Brett discussed what the volume per block should be for the exchange function, and Caleb suggested starting at about 500,000 for safety. Brett has also updated the code with everything from Uniswap, and is currently being prepared for release. Quenta's trading competition ended last week, and it's possible that they might do a second one soon. As a reminder, the purpose of these competitions was to stress test the parameters, especially the funding rate. Justin said that one thing we learned from them was that we need to change the funding rate, because it was pretty prohibitive. To correct this, Fief and Darius have been working together to design a better funding rate model. Fief suggested bringing back next price exchanges, which would create a way to submit an order and have it confirm at the next price update. While this may take slightly longer, it's a great way to prevent front-running and lower fees. This model will also help keep funding rates lower for arbitrageurs, which is great for keeping fees lower. The tentative plan is to therefore add next price exchanges in parallel with atomic exchanges for futures so that regular users and arbitrage traders have access to both mechanisms. During the meeting, Fief also brought up a couple of new SIPs he's writing. The first is a proposal he's working on with Alexander to add a synth for SETHBTC. This is one of the most active markets in crypto, so it's likely that there will be a lot of demand for this synth. The other SIP Fief is writing will adjust the fees for synth-to-synth trading by charging fees between non-SUSD pairs as if they are trading through SUSD first. He says this will simplify things and reduce a lot of risk to the system, since it will effectively force exchanges to go through SUSD. It also doesn't sacrifice the UX too much, because there isn't much organic demand for those exotic pairs outside of front-running. Caleb added that it's almost impossible to model a price curve for every pair combination, so effectively having all exchanges go through SUSD will make things easier because you'll have the price curve available on different exchanges. In Grants DAO updates, the full budget for this epic has been received from the Treasury Council, so the GDAO is now able to move forward with some exciting projects they're working on. If you recall from our discussion last week about the hedging bot, we discussed how the GDAO has been working on a way to make it more user-friendly. Heroku one-click deployment is ready to go, it just needs to be tested before being released. As a reminder, the Grants DAO commissioned this bot for stakers to be able to automatically hedge their debt on centralized exchanges. And now with the Heroku integration, this bot is going to be much easier to use and will overall be more accessible. In case you missed it, Teleporter is back up and running after it's incorrectly labeled as a phishing site. Clem says it's unfortunately still blacklisted from social networks, and that the demand for it has decreased a bit. He is also messaging several websites to whitelist it since it's still marked a scam. Kane and the GDAO are keen to decentralize Teleporter and make it a protocol, so Clem will be talking with him to discuss how this can be accomplished. Tools.synthetics is one of the Grants DAO's ongoing initiatives that will organize different tools that directly and indirectly help the synthetics community in an accessible format. The GDAO says they're waiting on concept design for this site, and then they will release a request for proposal for someone to build it. The new initiative that the GDAO is working on is a way to do keeper trades for low-volume synths. You may have noticed last week that trading on SNXweave was paused due to the circuit breaker being triggered. This synth circuit breaker was initially added in SIP55 in order to protect the integrity of the system. It does so by detecting large abnormal price shifts in price updates of a synth, then triggering a circuit breaker so that the synth becomes suspended from exchanging and transferring until it is investigated. However, when a synth that isn't traded too often exhibits this price move of 25% or more, this wrongly triggers a circuit breaker and it gets paused for trading, possibly resulting in losses for traders. The solution that the GDAO is working on will involve having keepers trade a low-volume synth if it hasn't been traded for X amount of time, and Oracle reports the price with Y delta from the last trade price. Rubberduck and Clem are looking into this, and will be writing up a scope for somebody to build it. Check out our blog post for a link to this discussion in the governance channel in Discord if you'd like to read more about it. In Ambassador DAO updates, last week the ADAO hosted their first Spartan City Hall with Lyra in the public governance stage channel. If you missed it, be sure to check out our blog post for the recording link. The ADAO got to discuss topics such as the advantages of permissionless finance, what led Lyra to choose a DAO-first model, what programs will be coming out of Lyra, the role of governance in the community in the future of Lyra, and much more. These Spartan City Halls are a very exciting new addition to the Ambassador's agenda, so be sure to tune in to the next one. Lastly, the ADAO's Governance Participation Awards are now claimable by all addresses who delegated Uni. Check out our blog post for the link to claim your rewards if you delegated any Uni in the Governance Participation Program. And that's it for today's updates. Be sure to check out our weekly blog post, share this podcast link, and let us know what you think and what you'd like to hear more about from SNXweave. Thanks for listening.